Have you ever, like, I don't know, notice how in English we kind of have this thing where we say things twice?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean,
All the time.
yeah. And it's like kind of weird if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why do we say free gift?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, aren't all gifts, like, by definition free?
Right.
Or like advance warning.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't a warning always, in advance?
Like, what other kind of warning is there, really?
Exactly. And the one that like always gets me is ATM machine.
Oh, classic.
That's like ATM already stands for automated teller machine.
Right.
So it's like we're saying automated teller machine.
Yeah, you're doubling down on the machine.
It's so weird. So for everyone listening, today we're gonna dig into this.
Yes.
We're gonna figure out why English has this habit.
Yeah, this quirk.
Yeah, this quirk, exactly. This need to repeat itself.
Totally. And
Yeah.
we're going to figure out which of these phrases, these doubled up phrases are just like part of how we talk and which ones might make a language expert cringe a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And we are going to untangle the logic, or
Yeah.
maybe sometimes the lack thereof, behind phrases like pin number and chai tea.
Absolutely. By the end, you'll know why these phrases exist.
Yeah, and you might even have a new appreciation for just how strange English can be.
It's a beautiful mess.
It really is. So,
Yep.
okay, let's get into this. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, and you already have by listening,
Right.
is um, to figure out, to unravel this repetitive habit of English with us.
Let's get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, we've got some really interesting insights from the research we've done.
Yeah, really fascinating stuff.
So the first reason English seems to repeat itself that we're going to talk about is what we're calling clarity overload.
Clarity overload. I love that. Because, even though it might seem like it's just repeating the same thing, it's sometimes actually about making sure that the message is super clear.
Yeah.
Like avoiding any kind of misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think free gift is actually a really good example of this.
Right.
Because, you're right. A gift should be free, like we established.
Yeah.
But by specifically saying free gift, it really emphasizes that there are, no strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
You think about those situations where, something is offered as a gift, but then it turns out there's all these conditions.
Oh, yeah?
Or, hidden costs,
Oh, yeah. Like those free trials.
Exactly. So saying free gift, it cuts through all of that. It
Yeah.
really makes it clear.
It's like, it's that extra layer of emphasis, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sure that everyone's on the same page.
Exactly.
And it reminds me of when we say unexpected surprise.
Right.
Like, a surprise is already unexpected, right?
By definition.
By definition. But saying unexpected surprise, it drives home that feeling of, genuine shock.
Oh, totally. Especially when you contrast it with something like a planned surprise party.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's a surprise, but it's not unexpected.
Exactly. So it's a little bit of extra oomph, right? To make sure the point really lands.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like how our brains process language,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that little bit of repetition,
Yeah.
it helps it stick.
It can really make it stick, yeah. And that brings us to another reason why these redundant phrases hang around.
Yeah.
And it has to do with, the way they sound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it really is just about, rhyme and rhythm.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the music of words.
It's the music of words, yeah.
Think about the phrase safe and sound.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that just flow so much better than just saying safe?
Totally.
You have the alliteration with the S sound.
Yeah.
And the vowel sounds are kind of similar. It creates this really satisfying phrase.
It just feels nice.
It just feels complete, right?
Yeah.
And think about, ordering at a restaurant. Wine and dine. It just has a certain elegance to it, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You could just say wine and food.
Right.
But wine and dine, it's more evocative, I think.
It sounds fancier.
It does, right. It sounds like a whole experience.
Yeah.
It's almost like the sound helps the meaning stick.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, now we're getting into what I think is the most fascinating part.
Okay, tell me.
Linguistic fossils.
Oh, yes. This is where we get into the really good stuff.
Yes. So this is where we're going to uncover those redundancies that have just stuck around throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's often because of a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Or just forgetting what the original word or part of the phrase, like, actually meant.
It's like language evolving over time, and sometimes these things just get left behind,
Right.
like little relics.
Yeah.
So we end up with these head scratchers.
And I think the classic example is ATM machine, like we talked about earlier.
Oh, absolutely.
ATM, the acronym, stands for Automated Teller Machine.
Right.
So when we say ATM machine, we are literally saying Automated Teller Machine.
It's like the machineness of it is just undeniable.
So redundant.
It is. And I think what happened is, at first people probably weren't really familiar with what ATM stood for. They just assumed it was some kind of automated thing.
Yeah.
So they added machine just to be sure.
Right, to clarify.
To clarify, exactly. And then it just stuck.
And then it became ATM machine forever.
Forever. And chai tea is another great example of this.
Oh, yes.
For anyone who doesn't know, chai itself means tea in Hindi.
Right.
So when you order a chai tea, you're basically asking for tea.
TT, yeah.
And I love this anecdote. Someone told me that they were traveling in India and they ordered naan bread.
Oh, no.
And the waiter looked at them very confused and said, "So, you want bread?"
It's so good.
It really highlights how these linguistic fossils can become so normal that we don't even think about the repetition anymore.
Yeah, we don't even notice it. It's just part of how we talk. Okay, so now that we've talked about like some of the main reasons why these redundancies exist in our language, let's talk about some of the what I would call the worst offenders.
The worst offenders. All right, these are the phrases where the repetition is just like so unnecessary.
Yes.
But we still use them all the time.
All the time. And I think leading the pack here is something called RAS syndrome.
RAS syndrome.
Which stands for, wait for it, Redundant Acronym Syndrome.
It's very meta.
It's so meta.
I love it.
So it's when we repeat the meaning of an acronym within the phrase itself.
Exactly.
And the most common example of this is PIN number.
PIN number.
PIN stands for Personal Identification Number.
Right.
So when we say PIN number, it's like we're saying personal identification number.
It's a lot of numbers.
It's numbers all the way down.
It is. And it's so common, you know, when we're talking about ATMs, our phones, like everything.
Right.
Another one you hear sometimes is DC Comics.
Oh, yeah.
Where DC stands for Detective Comics.
So it's Detective Comics.
Comics.
It's so funny. It's like once an acronym becomes really familiar, we forget what it stands for.
We just need to spell it out.
And then we end up repeating ourselves.
We do. And then we have another category called tautologies.
Tautologies, okay.
And these are phrases where the second part of the phrase basically just restates the first part. It's like saying the same thing twice, but with different words.
So like synonyms.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
So classic example of this is added bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Like a bonus is already something that's added.
Right.
So added bonus is just, it's redundant.
Yeah.
And result is another one.
Oh, yeah.
The result is already the end.
It is. It's like that's what a result is.
Exactly. It's the final outcome. But we say end result anyway.
We do. And then we have cultural blends, right?
Cultural blends, yes. These are the redundancies that pop up when we mix words from different languages that already have like overlapping meanings.
So it's like we're borrowing words.
Yeah.
But we don't always like fully understand what they mean.
Right. We don't always retain the original meaning.
Yeah.
So we end up with these kind of funny combinations.
And a perfect example of this is Sahara Desert.
Oh, the classic.
So the word Sahara actually means desert in Arabic.
Right.
So when we say Sahara Desert, we're literally saying desert.
Desert.
It's like, come on.
It's beautiful, though.
It is. And another one is the La Brea tar pits.
Oh, yeah.
La Brea in Spanish means the tar.
Right.
So the full phrase is like the tar pits.
It's just layers of tar.
It's so good. It's so funny. And, I think what's really interesting is, as our source pointed out, sometimes these redundancies stick around just because they sound right.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if they don't, like, make logical sense.
Right. Yeah.
It's that musicality that we were talking about earlier. It can override the literal meaning of the words.
Totally. Yeah. It's like our ears are happy, even if our brains are a little confused.
Exactly.
But I think it's important to remember that redundancy isn't always a bad thing.
Oh, totally.
Sometimes it can be really helpful.
Right. So let's talk about when it's actually useful.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get into that.
So sometimes that extra word or that slightly rephrased idea, it can actually be like super important to avoid confusion.
Mm,
or to add like necessary emphasis to something.
right, to really drive the point home.
Exactly. So like a good example of this is HIV virus.
Yeah, HIV
So we
virus.
know that the V in HIV stands for virus.
Right, human immunodeficiency virus.
But for people who might not know that,
Yeah.
saying the full phrase HIV virus, it's just much clearer.
It's instantly understandable.
Yeah.
There's no room for confusion.
And then there's the use of redundancy for emphasis.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So saying something in slightly different ways or adding an extra word, it can make what you're saying sound more powerful.
Yeah, you're going to really give it more weight.
Like, for example, each and every.
Oh, yeah, each and every...
If you say, like, each and every person, that sounds much stronger
Mm-hmm.
than just saying each person.
Right, it emphasizes that, like, literally everyone is included.
Yeah, no one's left out.
Exactly. And then you have, in more of a creative context,
Yeah.
redundancy can be used for rhythm or dramatic effect.
Yeah,
Like, first and foremost, it just sounds more important, right?
it does.
I'm just saying first.
Yeah.
It's like that echo of the idea, it adds this kind of gravitas.
Totally, yeah. And we actually got this really cool tip from a listener.
Oh, tell me.
They said that they keep a redundancy cheat sheet.
A cheat sheet.
Yeah. And it's color-coded. So, like, green is for the redundancies that are, like, acceptable
Okay.
or even helpful.
Okay. And then red is for the ones that are like, you should probably avoid those.
I love that idea.
Oh, no, right?
It's like a little guide to navigating the world of repetition.
Exactly. So for those of us who want to be like a little bit more careful about when we're repeating ourselves,
Yeah.
what are some ways that we can spot and fix these instances?
Okay, that's a great question. So one really simple method is what we can call the says the same thing test.
Oh, okay.
And basically, you just look at a phrase and ask yourself, are both parts of this phrase actually adding new information?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they basically saying the same thing?
Right.
And if they're saying the same thing, you might have a redundancy on your hands.
You can cut it out.
You can streamline it, yeah.
I like that.
So a perfect example is past history.
Oh, yeah.
History is already about the past.
Right.
So adding past doesn't tell us anything new.
You can say history.
Just history, exactly.
Yeah.
Future plans is another one.
Oh, right. Because plans are always about the future. Exactly.
So you can just say plans.
Just plans.
Yeah.
And another thing to watch out for is what we call the acronym check.
Acronym checks. Okay.
So this is all about being aware of the acronyms we use and not repeating their full form unnecessarily.
Hmm.
So a very common one is PDF format.
Oh,
We all say that.
yeah, we do.
But PDF already stands for portable document format.
Right.
So adding format is completely redundant.
It's just PDF.
Just PDF.
I'm never going to be able to say that again.
You'll get used to it.
PDF.
There you go. And usually the context makes it clear what you're talking about, so you don't need that extra word.
And then the last tip, it's all about the translation trap.
The translation trap, yes. This is about those words that we borrow from other languages.
Mm.
And knowing a little bit about their original meanings can help us avoid repeating ourselves.
Yeah, so it's like doing your research.
A little bit, yeah. Like we talked about shrimp scampi.
Right.
Scampi means shrimp in Italian. So you could technically just order scampi.
But shrimp scampi just sounds right.
It does sound right. It's
Yeah.
become so common in English that it doesn't sound weird anymore.
Right. It's like language evolves, and sometimes these redundancies just become part of how we talk.
Exactly. It's all part of the process.
Yeah.
And I think a final pro tip for our listeners is to remember that context is everything.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
So in formal writing, it's generally good to avoid unnecessary redundancies.
Right. Keep it concise.
Keep it clear, keep it concise.
Yeah.
But in everyday speech, those extra words, those little phrases, they can add personality.
Yeah, they can make you sound more interesting.
More engaging.
Yeah.
It's about knowing your audience and knowing the situation.
Right. So, okay, we've reached the end of our deep dive. What are the main things we should take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that English's habit of saying things twice, it can be illogical, it can be endearing,
Yeah.
and it can even be genuinely useful.
It's a mixed bag, for sure.
It is. It really is. And I think ultimately it just highlights how dynamic and quirky language is.
Yeah, and how much it changes over time.
Right. It's constantly evolving.
What might seem like a mistake or, bad grammar
Yeah.
can become totally normal.
Part of how we communicate.
It's pretty cool.
It is. And maybe the most important thing to remember,
Okay, what's that?
maybe think twice before you say ATM machine to a linguist.
Oh, yeah.
They might just give you a knowing look.
Yeah, like, oh, honey. And I
Exactly.
think next time I hear someone say final outcome, I'm just going to, in my head, be like, so the outcome.
Exactly. It's one of those little things that makes language fun.
It really is. And speaking of fun linguistic journeys, on our next deep dive, we're going to be looking at why English is such a borrower of words.
Oh, yes. English loves to steal words.
We're going to be exploring why English steals words and how to sound like you've known them forever.
I love that title.
And we'll be diving into the origins of words like karaoke,
Karaoke. Oh, yeah.
schadenfreude,
Good one.
and even emoji.
So relevant.
I know, right? It's all part of this ongoing story of how language changes and grows.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope you'll join us for that.
We'd love to have you.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.